This is Apologetics Live. To answer your questions, your host from Striving for Eternity Ministries, Andrew Rappaport.
We are live, Apologetics Live, here to answer your questions. Anything you have to ask about God and the Bible, we can do that here because we can answer any question you have about God and the Bible. Yes, we can. You doubt that? Well, go to apologeticslive.com. Click the little duck icon. That gets you into StreamYard. You can join us and, well, try that challenge. But any questions you have, we're here to answer them. Any challenges. I will say that there were a bunch of people. I'll bring Pastor Justin in. We had a number of people, and I'm going to blame Donald Jacks for this, by the way. Just get this right out from the get-go. Donald Jacks, some time ago, invited me to a group that was called Calvinism versus the Rest of Christianity. And I thought it was like a Calvinistic type group, that they were more open to Calvinism. And so I posted a link to the recent Rap Report podcast, which was basically just from my First Peter Bible study that I've been doing. And folks, if you want to be part of that Bible study, Wednesday nights, we do it live, but you can always go to the YouTube channel for Striving for Eternity. And if you go there, you will be able to basically get the teachings that we have. So that's out. Just go to youtube.com/c/striving for eternity, and you could get to those. But I did one on First Peter because there's these two words that are mentioned in First Peter 1:2. It speaks about election and foreknowledge. So that's all I did. I just titled it Election and Foreknowledge. Nothing controversial there. Yeah, well, I was being challenged by a lot of people. Being called all kinds of names too, not so nice ones. So I quickly realized that actually wasn't a very friendly group to people that might be even close to. I mean, they were all triggered. They were triggered. It was just one person even said that she doesn't need to even listen to any of this Calvinist dribble. And I'm like, well, and she said, I know you're going to say that because I didn't listen, I don't have the right to talk about it. Well, yeah, because you don't know if it actually is Calvinist dribble. Like I'm just taking the words right from the Bible. Election, foreknowledge, those are biblical terms. I would hope that they would, agree with it. But supposedly the fact that I said that I believe in election, like Peter talks about, makes me a Calvinist. So I guess as I responded, I guess Peter was a Calvinist. And
Wait a minute. Hold on. What?
Yeah, I mean, Peter must be a Calvinist before Calvin was even a thought.
Are you saying that the word election's in the Bible?
Yeah. Can you believe that? What do you know?
Really?
Yeah.
I never have seen that before.
Yeah, well, people haven't.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, so let's start with this before we get to the topic tonight. We're going to deal with. We want to play a video for you guys until some folks come in, ask some questions. We want to play a video. I think it's going to be very helpful, not just for what's going on up in Canada with Grace Life Church, but to also see how a lot of open air evangelists should handle the police. I think it'll be a very educational thing, and without Dr. Silvestro here, we'll be able to give a biblical perspective without his whining of cut the fence. Actually, I think that was his response when I sent that video to you too. I think his immediate response without even looking at the video was cut the fence. Yeah. So we see he has a knee-jerk reaction, but he plans to bring in some extra help. He has some people he wants to come in that already agree with his unbiblical position, and he would like to have them help to give credence to that. But we'll see. So let me give it. This is going to be a serious thing that I want to do is read a message that I got this week from one of our supporters. And this is someone who listened to a previous Apologetics Live show, a couple of episodes before when we dealt with the issue of biblical counseling. Yeah. And it's a pity that our friend John, aka Cluck Commander, is not here. He's mentioned here. And I like how he's mentioned. I'm going to read exactly how this person mentioned him, just so that people don't accuse me of, making fun of him. But So I'm going to remove names and things like this from, protect the guilty. Well, okay, maybe they're innocent too, but no, but really seriously, I'm not going to give all the details that were given, but a lot of this I think is really helpful for us. So, hey, Andrew, that live show you did on biblical counseling may have been a lifesaver to my husband. That's how it starts out.
That's powerful.
So I was finally able to communicate with him about his bizarre behavior, and that has not added up. It has bewildered me since he said he was moving out. Well, it turns out, since he was off his medications back several months ago, he added it back in, but he was only taking it every few days, which is very dangerous. He's having all the textbook symptoms: extreme lows, untrue feelings and thoughts, feelings of extreme detachment, physical manifestations, brain zaps, lightheadedness, stomach trouble. So I was able to talk to him yesterday and get to the bottom of what's going on. And now he's going to see a doctor first thing tomorrow. He even stayed at the house with us last night and agreed that he's not in a position to make any big life-altering decisions. He sees how erratic he is and agrees with me that he has to address the SSRI withdrawal, which is a very real medical condition. Also, had I not watched that show, I might not have taken such a thing seriously. So I'm going to stop there just so we could dialogue with this. So here's a person who watched the show. In that show, there was some discussion on people who are on these mood-altering drugs, especially when they're on them for a long time. It affects behavior, and a lot of people make a mistake. They don't want to be on the drugs, and they just get off on just cold turkey quit. And that has serious ramifications when you do that without medical advice. And that's what happened to this individual. Just wanted to quit the medicine, and it had some adverse effects. Let me go on with the rest of this. He has been spiraling out of control to the point he feels like a complete stranger to me for several months. Had I not watched that episode and also listened to the gentleman, parentheses, with the chickens, parentheses. Yeah. So just so you know, he's just the gentleman with the chickens. Not Cluck Commander. See, we would have called him Cluck Commander. Anthony would have called him Chicken Man, but the guy with the chickens. Yeah, she's kinder to him than we would be, huh? But had I not listened to the gentleman with the chickens, I might have missed the signs and not put aside my hurt and had pride, and really dug in with him. So in other words, what we end up seeing is John's testimony helped for her not to dig in her heels with him and not to get to a point where, she might have just made the situation worse. Yeah. And that's what would happen, with that. So, okay. So she goes on. He told me he's not suicidal. I believe him. But as his wife, someone observing him, his lows were rapidly getting lower and lower. So she says, I'm not sure if my marriage could be restored, but it's gotten to the point that I am just grateful to God that it sounds like he can be stabilized with a doctor's help, and the appropriate medical supervision. We decided we're going to take it step by step, walking through this together, which is a positive thing. And then we got into some more discussion, and then she mentions this. I guess he had realized he was yo-yoing off on the medication, just going, by not taking the proper dosage, taking it when he felt like he needed it. And so, she ended up saying that yesterday was an actual breaking point for us in a good way. I was able to ask him informed questions. He hit rock bottom, one of those crazy lows, and he reached out to me. And she says, then I put aside all of this hurt and confusion I'm going through and just firmly told him that he needs to see a medical professional and we need to get him stabilized, and everything opened up from there. God wanted me to see that show. Everything just came out into the open, and I understood what he's been going through. And, you know, she actually, I missed this because she mentioned some of this earlier, is the guy with the chickens had just really had my ear, and everything he said by everyone, the guest, Pastor Justin, really went straight to my heart and made me take action. So, you know, you and I were talking about this before I read some of this to you, and let me just let you give your reaction from what you were thinking, what you started saying beforehand.
Well, you know, a lot of people just kind of see us cut up and kind of play around a little bit, but you know, we take this very seriously as ministers of the gospel. And sometimes you just don't know what kind of effect you're having. You don't get a lot of emails, you don't get a lot of conversations, you don't get a lot of, you know, people really talking with you. And so you don't know, and you wonder from time to time if anybody's, you know, if anybody's been affected, if we're doing the good thing that we want to be doing. And I tell you, when we get emails like this, it causes all of the stuff to be worth it. You know, we're not here to grandstand or show off. We're here to be a blessing to the body of Christ and to the lost. And when things like this are sent, it's hard not to just break down and praise God, crying and being amazed. I mean, we do stand in amazement at what God can do with the simple proclamation of his truth. And that's just special.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, you get an email like that to think we do a show and someone could say that their marriage could be, could have been saved or that it you know, that it at least prevented it from getting worse. It's humbling. Yeah.
And you know, you think about it, the question that she started with was asking, one of the questions she asked was, or said that she wasn't sure about the marriage. You know, I, from my perspective, this is God beginning to work on those situations, and we can pray that God will restore her and her husband back to spiritual and physical and marital health.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. That is what we're hoping for.
Amen. Thank you, Melissa, for saying that. I really appreciate it. Melissa Owens.
I might as well put up. You're like responding to someone that people can't see. Put it up and then read it, and then do I really have to teach you how to do this again?
Well, I was about to, but you interrupted me. So Melissa Owens said, "Striving for eternity is an absolute blessing in my life. Thursday is my favorite day of the week now because of your ministry." I really appreciate that. That's humbling, and you know, other than having to put up with Andrew, you know, it's great.
Ouch. If I had feelings.
If you had feelings, that would hurt, but it doesn't.
It hurt. Yeah. So it's a good thing I leave those feelings locked away in a box. All right. So, you know, I mentioned last week about a video, and let me I do want to play this video that I mentioned. Like we mentioned last week about the fact that there are you know, we're going to be talking about Grace Life Church in Canada. We're going to talk about that we have, you know, just showing some of the stuff that's going on up there. But this is what we saw up in Canada as well. Okay. And I want to play, this is only about 41 seconds. Okay. But I want you to take a look at this and see what was going on with in the case of a a mosque, what a mosque can do on Ramadan, when see whether they have the restrictions that we see Pastor Coates having at his church. So I'm going to play this. This is going to blow your mind, but here we go. And so this is up at this is from Facebook user Garrett Jones, Islamic Community Center in Milton, Idaho, or Ontario. So let's play this. Just watch the number of cars and notice the police.
Here we are, Good Friday, Milton at the Islamic Community Center. Just packed. It's packed, but the kids can't play hockey. Here they are. Sorry for the terrible camera work. Our finest, Alton's finest, just pouring them in, just lined up. And my kids can't play hockey. We got a pay duty cop here, and they're all going to pack inside. And I guess that's social distancing. It seems fair.
Wow.
So there you go. You have a case there where, in that case, they're allowed.
No. I saw them in body armor, and they were blocking the roads, and they were stopping them. Right. That's what I saw. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. How many cars were in there? I mean, that parking lot looked pretty full.
Well, they had their limit at 15%, right?
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing. Like, this is what I'm pointing out. You end up seeing for Grace Life Church, because they had the audacity to want to meet in person and actually worship God. They have 3 fences around their building, one with a privacy fence, the innermost, so that no one can see what the police are doing in the building. They have a fence around the building with privacy. They have a fence around the parking lot and the building. Then they have a fence around the whole property, so no one can get in. And the police, they have 24-hour security, and they're charging the church for all this, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're charging the church, to be able to pay. Like, after the fact, the church is going to have to pay all this back. Like, they're not allowed on their own property. So,
wow.
This is what you end up seeing, and then you see that this is the same thing that we saw last year. Resurrection Sunday, churches had to be closed. For Passover, synagogues had to be closed. But for Ramadan, hey, the state comes in and helps them get set up. Here you had the police directing traffic. Now, why were the police not enforcing the 15% rule?
Humbled Clay says exactly why. Because it's proof that Allah is not God.
Yes.
I mean, the Bible makes it clear that they will hate us, they will hate the gospel, and they will hate all Christians because they hate Christ.
Yeah.
And this is, Humbled Clay, you knocked it right out of the park. That's the answer, because Allah is not God. And they're perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. You know what we should have mentioned when we were giving the review that we got earlier is that if folks want to give us a review, get them read, go to lovethepodcast.com/apologeticslive, and the A and L in Apologetics Live is capitalized, all spelled in one word. Lovethepodcast.com/apologeticslive. That link will be in the show notes. And there's something I want to do. Justin, we have our sponsor, which is MyPillow.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to do, folks. I know that some of you have already gone out to MyPillow. You've purchased pillows or different things from there. Here's what I want you to do. I would like to get pictures of you with the products that you sent. We'll show them on air. We'll put them up here. You can email us. Just go to info@strivingforeternity.org. info@strivingforeternity.org. Send your pics there. We want to put them up on screen. But how do you do that? Well, you got to first go to MyPillow. Go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listeners square, and from there, use the promo code SFE, that stands for Striving for Eternity, or you can call our 1-800 number that we have with them, which is 1-800-873-0176. That's 800-873-0176. Use promo code SFE when you call, and you'll get the discounts. I'm actually bummed because I didn't buy. They had their premium pillows, the queen size premium pillows, for under $30, the lowest it had ever been, and I didn't get them in time for myself. I was getting a bunch that I wanted to get for Christmas gifts and wanted to replace some of ours that we have here, and now they're up to $39. So I missed it. Don't miss out before they go up, because
Everything's going up.
well, yeah, Biden. We'll just call it a moment. It's going to be, but yeah, if you want to go to mypillow.com, they now have the My Slippers, and they got robes and all kinds of things out there. Also, we'll send in pictures when you go there to us, so we can show those on air. So let's do this. I want to go to the footage that we have here that is provided on rumble.com, and I'll on the podcast version, I'll put the links to both videos in the show notes, so that we'll have that there. But what I want to do, Justin, is you and I we're going to go through this, and any time that you want me to stop, just say stop, and I'll stop this. And we're just going to go through this footage here that we have. This is so that this is at Grace Life Church before they put the fences in. You see that there's cars in the parking lot, and you're going to hear the way this gentleman talks with the police officers and this health official, and I want you to notice a couple things as we go through it. I'm probably going to stop it and talk about it, but I want you to see how the guys from Grace Life were not, they were willing to accept whatever consequences are given. Yeah. They are being polite. They know the law. They're not trying to give the police a hard time. You're actually seeing that Grace Life is willing to work with the police, but the health inspector wants none of it. It's his way or the highway.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the reality. Josiah Nichols says that he got the mattress topper at My Pillow, fixed his wife and his back issues. So cool, Josiah. Thank you for that. Now you got to take a picture with you and your wife's mattress topper and send it in to us. And so, so we're going to go through this, and I'll, Justin, just see that if Josiah can stick around for a while till after this, or should we get to his questions beforehand?
Okay.
But the thing that you're going to see with this video is this is the thing with the totalitarian regime that we see all over the place, is they do not accept anybody having a different opinion than them. And what you end up seeing here is you end up seeing that they want it their way. There is no other option. And here you're going to see a bunch of Christians trying to work with them. They're even going to tell them at one point, we're not in compliance. Like, point blank, we're not in compliance with you. And they're okay with whatever the ramifications are. So let me play through this. Justin, you just let me know when you want to stop.
Hey, you guys going inside, you would be saying that
you're guilty of interrupting a worship service.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, but you're saying that the public health orders override criminal code 176.
But that's why we can't let you in then, because code 176 makes it illegal for you to interrupt a worship service. And our worship service has begun. Mm-hmm. And we're stating that to you very clearly, that your presence in this building will be interrupting our worship service.
How so?
Because your presence intimidates our people.
That's your perception.
Okay, pause for a second. What I want everybody to notice is they are giving the legal reasons for why it is. I mean, they have civil code, legal code on their side, and they're being very respectful. They're not trying to be defiant. There's the dual problem here. The problem that's being interacted with is being interacted with by the law enforcement on behalf of this gentleman. You're going to find out his name if you don't know yet. His name is Dragon. I watched it a little while ago. This man's name is Dragon, and he's code enforcer. The problem is his civil call does not override the written law that is part of their code or our code or anything else. It doesn't, somebody does a civil mandate, it doesn't override law. And so they're standing on the law and they're saying, look, we have the right to peaceably assemble, to have a religious assembly without being harassed and having our people intimidated, which is what's going on. And they're trying to be very respectful about it. And if you noticed, one of the things the police officer just said was, well, we have a code, we have a civil mandate or whatever, and you have the law, and we're not trying to override your code, but actually they are. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, just.
Well, and I'm gonna hold it. We're going to come back to this because Pastor Josiah only has about 10 minutes, so I'm going to bring him because he's got some questions that he let us know. So, Pastor Josiah, how are you, sir, tonight?
Better than I deserve.
I like that answer.
Dave Ramsey.
No, Chief.
Because I'm blessed with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places.
That's right.
Yeah, everyone knows of it from Dave Ramsey, but people think I'm quoting Dave Ramsey when I say it. Although Anthony says the first time he heard it was Pastor Josiah, I think, so he thinks that I got it from him. But I got in seminary. It was my seminary, the founder of our seminary, who used to say that. Everyone just called him Chief, but it was E.R. Jordan. So yeah. Anyway, so Josiah, what do you have for us tonight? What questions you got?
Well, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. I'm starting a sermon series on 1 Peter this weekend.
Sounds good.
And
you're like everyone else.
Right. Stuff's happening in Canada, and the Biden administration heavily attacking Christians, at least verbally.
No. Biden is so loving. He's a Christian. I mean,
well, he's a Catholic, and historically, you know how the Catholics like Protestants.
Well, yeah, but he's a good Catholic.
Can you feel the love tonight?
Yes, I believe that as much as Trump was a Christian.
There's a good Antichrist, right?
Yeah. So, what questions do you have?
Well, I noticed. I'm Reformed-ish. But I preach in an Armenian church. So,
that'd be fun. And you're going to preach there.
Oh man, you're going to preach.
And right from the get-go, you're going to have problems.
Yeah, you're going to have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm trying. I'm just praying that God will let me keep the church after I preach the sermon. So,
yeah.
But I was listening to your podcast. I know you really go into election and destination. I've actually been finding there's different views on when Peter wrote it. Because one thing I like to do in my sermons, I like to give the historical context behind it, and I can't really. Every scholar has a different opinion on the historical context.
Yep.
You heretic! You mean like grammatical historical? What are you thinking about?
Well, in case you don't know, Pastor Nichols has a few books on the proper way of interpretation. One, actually, let me see if I move my head just right. It's right there. You can't really see it too big, but it's when my ox gourds my neighbor. Great title for a book. You'll never forget the title now. But based out of I want to say Leviticus, but I think it's Numbers.
Exodus
21,
verses 28 through 32.
Yeah. So great primer for learning how to interpret. You can get that at strivingfraternity.org. You can get that at our bookstore. That's available there. And you got a bigger copy.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I should make him feel bad. He went and got his copy. Let me. All right. Let's do the test. Ready? Here's my copy. You have your copy?
Okay. And yours is what? Signed?
Wait, mine looks shinier than yours, though. Yeah.
It's hard copy.
Wait. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, you're right. Mine is signed.
Okay.
With a note in it, but but you know what else? Let's do the bang test. Bang it on the table. You hear that?
Yeah.
No, you try that with yours.
Well, hold on a second. Can you read that?
You were here?
Your name here. I just signed it.
Bang yours against the table. Let's hear how yours sounds.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, no.
Yours is hard copy.
On this side, bang it on this side.
Oh, you got the hard copy. Okay.
Yeah. I got a hard copy, man.
It still reads.
Yeah, same stuff.
Oh. Wait, so
yeah,
Melissa's saying that mine is showing up. Is that showing up backwards? She says it shows up backwards.
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
That's why. See, when you're turned around the other way, you look ugly, and then this way, you look nice.
I wonder where that's happening at. Neat. Well, I didn't know that. Let's see. Let me try changing the camera. See advance. It's not in here. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out where that change occurred.
Yeah,
but
that's weird.
So you go on with your question. I'm gonna play with the camera.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So I noticed that there's different takes on what dispersion he's talking about. Some people view it as metaphorically, as like we're pilgrims here on earth going to our heavenly home. The other people say that it's from the Roman dispersion, and I heard you say that it's from the Jerusalem dispersion when Paul was persecuting the church. At least that's what I'm guessing your take is when you said they were dispersed from Jerusalem. I was just kind of wondering why you took that take.
Well, because it mentions where they're going, so I don't think it's some spiritual, figurative dispersion. They were scattered. It says they're scattered to Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. So we know exactly where they were scattered to. So because of that, right off the bat, we have more information here that leads us to believe that this wasn't. This was a physical scattering.
It wasn't spiritual, exactly.
Yeah, and so the only scattering I really know of is the one out of Jerusalem.
Yeah,
that James would write. Now, it doesn't mean that it's an early writing.
Right.
James was years after Paul's persecution, but yet, he wrote to, and he made it really clear, he's writing to the Israelites that were scattered abroad in James 1:1.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it fits within the context of the persecution that's going on, as Peter's talking about, from Paul, from Saul, and those that were vehemently going after and trying to kill as many Christians as they could. And what was Saul doing? He wasn't staying in Jerusalem. He was chasing them down. He was chasing them to every location he could find them, and he was dragging them back. He was abusing them, and he was personally overseeing their murder in the name of their religious zeal for God. And they had abandoned the faith, and according to them, and so they're running off as Christians now. And Saul is chasing after them. I agree with Andrew completely on this, and that's why I've always seen this section as this is the early life of the body of Christ being dispersed, as Christ told us it would happen. We're going to be scattered throughout the world with the gospel, and that's what it says here is according to the foreknowledge of God. This was the purpose of God. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of my understanding, as it's a literal dispersion, because that. But I also heard that maybe the dispersion it's talking about is from the emperor that dispersed the Jewish Christians out of Rome, because there's actually Roman colonies in those providences.
And that would make it a much later book.
Yeah.
That's the case. That'd make it after, because those I think started after 70 AD.
Yeah.
So I think that might make it too far.
Yeah, Peter's kind of dead by then.
So that's that. Well, I'm talking about the dispersion with Priscilla and Aquila when they left Rome because of Christus, kicking them out for Christus, and so I was wondering if that might have been the dispersion. I know it's not really all that important. It's a little important.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to consider who's Peter talking to, where's Peter at, and what's his position and what's his job.
But see, that actually makes an important point. Is it gets to the question of who is he speaking to? Is he speaking to a Gentile audience, a Roman audience, or a Jewish audience? And in last week's, okay, I don't know how KT managed to do this, but
I don't know.
She was able to put a comment upside down. This is the way this is the way you see Andrew. Is my book titles in backwards too, or no?
No, I could read "What Do We Believe" on your screen.
I think
so.
Right.
It's just the camera, so it's got to be someone with the camera. Wow. Okay. Anyway, so it makes a difference of who his audience is, whether it's Jewish or Gentile.
Yeah.
And now, one of the things I made the point of saying in the last class that is up on YouTube, it's not a podcast at all, so you'd have to watch YouTube. But I make the point to point out that Paul was Peter was the apostle to the Jewish people, where Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles. So it would make more sense that Peter is writing to Jewish people, and therefore, again, it might make more sense that he is writing to Jewish people that were scattered.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would put it as an earlier scattering.
The one thing that there's two things you want to look at as well. When people tell you this is allegorical, they try to spiritualize it, therefore to make it more of an allegory. What's that?
Just run.
Yeah. And the thing is, here's the issue. When somebody tells you that there's allegory, they better have a really good reason for it, because we believe that, and it doesn't matter what group that you are involved with, whether you're post-millennial, amillennial, or whatever else you want to be, they would all claim that we believe in the literal hermeneutic of the text. We believe in it in its context, its fullest text, and we need to have justification for why we would see a typology or an allegory or anything else. There needs to be clear justification. Mm-hmm. And what you don't see here is any indication that there's any type of spiritualizing going on. Yep, right. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is,
and the reason you don't see that spiritualizing is because it's literal towns that are mentioned.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Literal people, literal towns, and it's giving a doctrinal reason for a physical event. It's giving the reason doctrinally is because of the foreknowledge of God the Father by the sanctifying work of the Holy Spirit to obey Jesus Christ. There's a Trinitarian doctrinal reason that all three of them are involved here. And so I wouldn't want to make this just a spiritualized movement, because, this is a very strong text for Trinitarian truth. Yeah. And and so I wouldn't want to say, oh, this is just, whimsy and fancy, first of all. And that's, that's first thing I wouldn't do. I want to know who's Peter talking to. And as Andrew said, he's the apostle to the Gentiles, was it? No, the Jews. And the reason that most people say, oh, well, he was probably in Rome, is because the Roman Catholic Church tried to say, oh, this is Peter. He has the keys, and he has the keys. He's the Pope. And so they try to stretch this thing out. Peter, there's no indication that he ever left his geographical area, but there is all kinds of indication that the apostle that was appointed to the Gentiles, Paul, went to Rome. Right. So we have to make sure that we nail this down from what we see in the scripture and what we know from history. And so that's where I'm going to go based on those issues. And I'm going to give this an earlier date than some of the others would, because I think they're trying to push more towards allegory.
Right.
I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, I'm taking a literal approach too.
That's so surprising. I've read all your books. You know what? Since we're talking about your books, why don't we just play a commercial? Here we go. Unbelievers now have no excuse to misinterpret the Bible, like they ever did. Interpreting the Bible has never been easier or less expensive. Get your copy of What Does It Mean to Me? This teaches and demonstrates the importance of biblical interpretation. Proper biblical interpretation is the difference between truth and error, life and death, heaven and hell. This is created for your sinners, That's your Christians in name only. Readers will stop asking, what does this mean to me? And start asking, what does it mean? Get your copy of What Does It Mean to Me at trackplanet.com or on amazon.com today. You want to get this before it's too late. Another way that you can get that, actually, and what we'll do is I'll just give this out now. This is being the executive director. Sometimes you get to make executive decisions, especially when Anthony's not here to say no. So any orders at Striving for Eternity for any of the materials will include a copy of What Does It Mean to Me for not only the month of April, but including May. So if you purchase anything from our site, we will ship to you whatever you order plus a free copy of What Does It Mean to Me.
Is it going to be signed?
Huh?
Is it going to be signed?
If Josiah doesn't mind me signing it, but
Right. I'll tell you what. I can send you more signed. I can send you signed copies.
Yeah, Justin wants signed copies. It's like
I want one.
He even signs his own.
I haven't signed my own.
Yeah. So hey,
well, you just give me your address later, and we'll. I can send you one.
All right. So just so folks know, Full Belly Bear says, "What's up, everyone?" Just so we know, he survived. He's still alive after last week. But I have heard rumor. I have heard rumor that Full Belly Bear is planning something. He's working supposedly on a video that we'll be able to show here. That makes me nervous.
Oh no.
Yes, I'm sure. So KT says perhaps Andrew wants to sign my pillows to throw at Anthony. No, I want something harder to throw at Anthony. Not
that was good.
As simple as that. All right. So Pastor Josiah, I know you only had about 10 minutes. Anything else that you have for us tonight?
Well, just stating that from what I understand from 1 Peter verses 1-2 is that we have to understand that when we go through suffering and trials, we need to understand God chose those who are in Jesus Christ to have the eternal blessings. He didn't choose the world. So you don't be going after the world and thinking, I need to compromise to listen to them and to have a better life, because they're not promised eternal blessings. You are, because you are chosen by God according to his foreknowledge, which is, his plan for all eternity. He chose you in Christ before the foundation of the world. And if you are repenting and trusting in Jesus, you know that you're saved and you don't have to compromise with this world.
Amen.
So Justin, you're going to not only give this long link to where to find it, but
find a short one.
You cover up the author's face.
I didn't mean to do that, but I couldn't find a short one. I apologize. I was trying to find a really short one, but it's on Amazon, by the way. And I don't know if you want me to say that or not.
Search What Does It Mean to Me. Actually, a better place to get it is Track Planet.
Track Planet? Okay.
Yeah, that way more money goes to Track Planet and Josiah rather than Amazon. So go to Track Planet and get it there. So
if we get people to buy 1,000, I can print 1,000 more. So that'd be great.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in. And I'm going to put you in the backstage. Let me just bring Cluck Commander in.
Hey, brother.
John, I don't know if you were able to watch and listen to the beginning of the show. They're the chickens that were mentioned.
Oh, really?
Did you listen to the beginning of the show?
You've gone against me. I see how you are.
I'm just trying to
against my. Yeah.
Did you watch the beginning of the show or listen to it? I should say.
No, I didn't.
Okay, well then that's fine. That's fine.
You got to do it again. You got to.
Yeah, no, we're not doing it again. He's just going to have to.
Oh.
And for folks that don't know, this is who we call Cluck Commander. You now saw his chickens, but this is why the person said, the guy with the chickens. She actually referred to you as a gentleman with the chickens first time, but then you were just the guy with the chickens. So, but do you have anything for us tonight? Or you just?
I asked him to come on because I thought that was just incredible. John, actually, we got an email about the conversation that we had on the biblical counseling stuff. So
you'll have to go back and watch. But the short of it is, KT wants to know if John can sign a chicken. I think.
Can you sign a chicken for her?
She wants a signed chicken. Can you sign a chicken and send it to KT?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
You're talking about book signings and things. So, we had a listener that listened, John, to the counseling episode, and she said that she really listened to what you had to say about some of the being on certain medications that affect your moods, and when you've been on for a long time, and things, getting off and whatnot. And so the thing that she had mentioned was that what you had said really had an impact. It basically may have saved her marriage. So, it was
Wow.
moving. Yeah. She had said that if she didn't hear if she didn't listen to what you had said, she might have responded to her husband's moods, where he just got off of meds, and she might have responded in pride and just dug her heels in. But listening to you, it helped her realize exactly what he was going through, and she was able to recognize all the signs that you had mentioned and knew exactly what was going on, and felt informed to be able to ask the right questions. And she had shared that her husband had moved out, and they had a breakthrough, and he moved back in, and she credited a lot of it to some of what you had said, and then some of what Chris Chimita had said. So it is really quite neat to see how sometimes we do these shows, John, and we never know the impact that it makes on other people. And we just sit behind a microphone and a camera, and it goes out, and we don't even know. Sometimes it's just very humbling to think about how this can help so many people that we don't think of or don't know about.
That's, yeah. Praise God. It's funny how.
I think you're frozen up there in the Great West, Northwest. Oh, it's really bad.
I just felt like I'd just been, praise God that, so yeah, this is, oh, hold on. I'm so.
This makes for great TV right here.
Yeah, right there. There's
frozen on the chickens. We can't hear him at all. He just, so.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that John heard that, because it's just a.
It looks like he's back. So what were you going to say, John?
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. My connection was horrible. So what I said was, praise God. I'm so glad that, God can even use me, a chicken guy.
A commander.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is that it's funny because lately I just feel like I've been a fifth wheel with the show, and just haven't really been doing much or been able to be much of an asset to it. So it's good to know that, yeah, even those times where I think I'm just, sharing my few cents, that,
Yep.
Even God can use me to help another couple. So praise God.
Yeah. Melissa's asking, what does your shirt say?
Don't
smoke?
No, it says,
don't snore.
I don't snore, but it says,
I dream I'm
on a tractor. I dream I'm a tractor.
Okay. She was probably expecting some gospel message. He's just talking about snoring and tractors.
No,
right.
No. This is my wife mocking me about my snoring.
There you go. But one thing I want to just encourage you with, John, is I have the same thing going on from time to time. I just wonder if we're making and causing a positive benefit and effect, and it's every once in a while you just feel like, okay, Are we really reaching anybody? Is people hearing the message? Is the gospel going out? Are we affecting people? And sometimes you feel like in society, a third wheel or a fifth wheel. And then God shows up and he says, I want you to hear this. This is what, and he doesn't have to do it. We don't have to hear any good thing until we get to heaven. And because we won't know, we won't know what we've done for the glory of God, I think, until we get to heaven.
Yeah.
But
Joanne Hayes says, that's going to make me cry, John Wilkinson. So you're making her cry. Why are you doing that? Why are you making her cry, John?
No, I think you're a great brother. So
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I would consider him a great brother if he was willing to give me his Red Skylar Bible. No, I want his red leather goatskin Bible. That's
It's in the house, but yeah, you already took it a couple times already, so
Yeah, I could have kept it at that point. I mean, I had it hidden well.
You had it hidden inside your little behind your desk there with church.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to this video now.
Yeah.
I'm going to put John backstage, and let's keep going through, and then we got someone else is going to have another question later. But here we go. So let's play through this, and you just, if you want me to stop at any point, just say stop, and we will.
We have the authority to do.
So are you saying?
So it'll be obstruction if it does come down to that.
Yeah, no, we understand,
Okay,
but we're saying the
so-
worship service has started, and your presence is an interruption of that worship service.
So we're not going to go into the pulpit.
Yeah.
No, even
Now notice how they the interaction. First off, the guy who's speaking for Grace Life is respectfully explaining, just you coming in, and folks, all of us that have been in church, we know what it's like when someone comes in late. Okay, I could tell you as a pastor what happens, because I'm usually at the pulpit and I see all the heads when someone comes in late and everybody looks.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this: if you had two police officers walk in with a guy with a clipboard after they have just arrested their pastor, kept him in jail for 35 days and let him loose and let him out of prison, and it's the first week back, and you see two police officers with a guy with a clipboard, do you think that's going to be disturbing to the congregation?
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably going to be going, oh, they're getting names and license plates and things, which I'm sure they probably already were doing. They probably already were going through the parking lot getting license plates. But people in the congregation are not, it's going to be a distraction, because regardless, they don't know why the police officers and this man with the clipboard are there.
Yeah.
So they realize this. I don't know who it is that's speaking on behalf of Grace Life, if he's an elder or not, but he recognizes that the law says they're not to disturb, and this will be a distraction, and they're going to try to explain that it's not, because they're not going up to the pulpit. But the law, as you're going to hear, is quite clear that the police are. The law says you cannot disrupt a worship service in progress. And it's interesting, because one of the things I actually, I'm sure many of you have been in church, you're going to figure out this is toward the end of the service. They may have been talking throughout the whole service, because toward the end of this video, you're going to hear the music playing. I think that the preaching is going on, and it's now the end of service. And I think these guys ended up realizing whatever they were looking to do, they didn't get in there in the time that they wanted.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also want you to just see how respectful the man is. And so, Humble Clay says, masks interfere with the interaction, make it impersonal. And that's true. And so, KT saying that, I'm friends with Devin. I am, he is, I don't think he wasn't in this video, but he is someone that's been posting a lot online. So let's keep going.
Like I said, you guys it is a great intimidation to women and children, which is a disruption.
And again, that's your perception.
So are you telling us that the public health orders override Criminal Code 176?
I'm not here to debate that.
Okay.
I'm here to do a job under
But you entering the building would determine that is overridden.
Now, see, we're getting into a debate.
No, I'm asking a question. I'm trying to get an answer.
Again, I'm not here to debate those things. Those are things that can be debated in court.
Okay.
And I'll let the lawyers and the judges make.
Okay, so this is one of the things, especially for open air evangelists, to recognize what the officer is saying here. And I think the officer is being respectful. He's got a job to do. This is something to remember. I've seen a lot of open air evangelists get shut down because they handle the police the wrong way. They address things rudely. Had this gentleman been rude to the officer would have just kind of shut him down. But we see our friend Chris Honholz, and maybe he can come in and answer this as well. Pastor Justin, you can answer this, being two men in law enforcement. But I always remember someone telling me that, on the street, okay, you may win your day in court, but you challenge a police officer and you will lose on the street. Yep. When it's push comes to shove and you try to make an argument with a police officer, there becomes an issue where, okay, we're not accepting this. We're going to shut you down. Okay.
Yeah.
Here you see a gentleman just asking questions. Now the officer says that's your interpretation, that it's going to be disruptive. I would say it's not really a question of interpretation, because he's saying, does the one law override the other? The answer to that's no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And so they can't go in and this is the thing of just sticking to, the law, keep it on your side, be respectful, asking questions. All right. So I just wanted to point that out.
One thing too that you want to look at is 2 Peter. We talked about this last time when we had this discussion. Is in 2 Peter we find out that God has ordained that these things are to happen. He has ordained the good of our blessing, and that we are going to suffer persecution. But I want to, as you were pointing out here, notice how respectful they're being. This reminds me in Acts 4, where Peter is proclaiming the gospel, proclaiming truth. He's preaching in a synagogue, in a church, if you will, and it's not a church, but I understand the difference. But he's proclaiming the truth, and the officials come and they say, "What are you doing?" They go to forcibly drag him away, and he says, he says, "Is it right for us to do what's in your sight, what's right, or what's right in God's sight?" And then he leaves it up to them. It's between them and God. He's not pulling out batons. He's not fighting with them. He's not getting physical, because he's going to lose that battle. And the ultimate point is if these officers had chosen to, what could they have done? They could have walked right in, and there's nothing they could have done to stop them.
Yeah, that's true. And Chris says the officer on the right seems to be ignoring / sidestepping the question by the Grace Life rep.
Yeah.
Questions about law and health order. Full Belly Bear is bringing up, says, good tip, Andrew, use the Socratic method. And that's what you see him doing here.
Exactly.
It's just asking questions. We're going to see more of it. Let's go back to this.
Though you guys going inside, you would be saying that
you're guilty of interrupting a worship service.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, but you're saying that the public health orders override criminal code 176.
But that's why we can't let you in then, because the code 176 makes it illegal for you to interrupt a worship service. And our worship service has begun. And we're stating that to you very clearly, that your presence in this building will be interrupting our worship service.
How so?
Because your presence intimidates our people.
That's your perception.
Well, no.
How so? No.
Okay. Now notice how he says again. Well, that's your impression. That's your interpretation. Right? Here's the thing. If I'm in that service, as one of these guys, if they were in that service, it would be a distraction. It would be intimidating. So it's not their interpretation for everyone else. It's the fact for them. And if it is for them, then the law is covered. Yeah. That's the thing. Now, he's making it about the women and the children and things like this. But what you end up seeing is, that again, I want to point out, just sticking to the law. The law, it's on your side, stick to that. He's being respectful. Okay. And you're going to see the officers end up being respectful to him, but they're going to try to push. And I'll have some more comments in a moment.
Perception our people understand that you guys, and again, we respect the work that you do in the community. We respect you as police officers, but in our worship service right now, people are praying, people are singing, people are listening to the word of God be preached, and they can't do that with your presence in the building.
And with all due respect, the law has now put our pastor in prison. And so for the RCMP to come into the service, it is absolutely a disruption. We have seen the arm of law enforcement come against us. So to come in our building is absolutely intimidation at this point.
That's why we can't let you in.
Okay, so you notice that. So they're pointing out it's not just the fact that they had arrested their pastor. This looks like to the congregation intimidation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, which is exactly how I think I'm interpreting it. It's exactly what I interpret when they put fences all around the building, right? It's intimidation.
Well, and that's one thing you have to think about. We push our rights. I'm going to go back to Peter. He says in Peter, Acts 4:19, but Peter and John answered and said to them, whether it is right in the sight of God to give heed to you rather than to God, you be the judge, for we cannot stop speaking about what we have seen and heard. He's saying in here, okay, here's the standard. Here's the truth. You get to stand before Almighty God, and you get to be judged on your actions. And what they're saying is I know they're not saying God, but they're saying the law has given us this right, and you be the judge. Are you going to violate your own laws? The Socratic method, as you're talking about. They're putting out this conversational discussion as far as they can, and it wins the day. It wins the day here, as we'll see.
Right.
Once again, I'm sorry you feel that way, but you have to understand that we also have a job to do. Right?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do.
Under that authority, that's why we're here.
Okay.
We're not here to go up and down the aisles. We're not here to.
But you actually will be.
No,
when you go inside, you will see that you will be.
Our people are sitting right there. Like,
Again,
and our service has now. We are officially started.
right now we have.
Yeah.
We've wasted time here.
We was started before that, but now he's in the pulpit.
We were already praying and singing.
Yeah.
He's in the pulpit.
I haven't been in, so I don't know what it's like. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's not that we're here to interrupt anything. And
But you will.
don't.
And it's not an interpretation. You will be. It's a fact. You will be interrupting. We
Again.
are standing firm on the criminal code 176 that protects these rights.
Yep.
What you do, I mean,
Again,
if you guys are going to stand up over top of
interruption,
that, then
interruption is going to be defined in the courts. It can be argued in the courts. Okay. It can go.
Okay, so he's right there that when you have issues that happen on the streets, it does get argued in the courts.
Yes.
Okay, this is the thing, even for open air evangelists to remember. When you I've seen this countless times where I'd see open air evangelists getting arrested, and they're arrested a lot of times just because they were rude to the officer.
Yeah,
and they win in court. But I remember one guy who, he knew he was going to end up getting arrested. He wanted to challenge, and some of it because he wanted to take it to court. He wanted to challenge back then it was the fact that the Occupy Wall Street was able to make a lot of noise, and we couldn't preach the gospel unless we amplified. And the Supreme Court allows for that to amplify to the same level as the noise around us in New York. But that had to be challenged again. And so he knew he was probably going to get arrested. He just didn't realize it was a holiday weekend. So he was there for like 4 days. But this is the thing. The officers, they don't care. They don't want to sit here and debate law with you. That's not their job. And so they'll be happy, if they're going to arrest you, it's like, okay, we'll arrest you and let the court settle it.
yeah.
So that becomes an issue that you just have to remember. They're not there to interpret the law, and they're not even going to bother with it.
Well, you have to think about this. These two officers, I see people talking about they're tyrants and stuff like that, but I want to point out to you this thing that I want everybody to think about. They have a law to uphold, and they have supervisors that are being told by other supervisors that are being told by other law enforcement agency and governmental agencies that we have to uphold a law. And so you're going to go out there and you're going to uphold this thing, whatever it may be. And in this case, they were told to escort the guy in the middle. I don't know what he is exactly. They're going to bring him in. Health inspector. Okay. So so they're to protect him. And I know that's insane. Those Christians aren't going to hurt this man. We know
he's so dangerous. It's just like the pastor. It was so dangerous. He had to be, chained up with his legs, and yet, child rapists are let free.
Yeah. Well, but think about it. These officers are trying to do a job. Chris, if he was to jump in here, he would say the same thing. They're trying to do a job to uphold justice and righteousness in some form. It may not be the Christian mindset, but it's in some form. And they're trying to do what's before God that there's their mandate to do.
Yeah. And
so there has to be that respect as a group of people that recognize that Christ is the one who is in all authority. So we have to be careful about throwing out the epitaph of these guys are tyrants and everything else. No, they're trying to do a job first.
Yeah.
They might be tyrants.
Chris says, thanks, Justin. One of those things I do wish we'd address more humbly. I agree 100% with the laws or edicts are wrong, but the officers just have to do what they are ordered to do. And that's the thing. And this is the thing to remember. So, let's go on with this.
A number of different ways. Again, we're not here for that purpose. There's no intent for that. So even if you feel that way, I'm sorry you feel that way. Again, that is not our intent. Okay. And if there's no intent, then.
Well, I don't think intent is what
intent is what it comes down to.
No.
It does come down to that. Yeah.
No, because the moment you walk in the door, you're interrupting her worship service. And that's very clear in the criminal code.
Yeah. What's also clear is intent. So there has to be a reason for somebody to do something. It's called mens rea. Okay, so if someone wants to cause property damage, they have to want to cause property damage for a reason.
Yeah.
If they do it by accident,
so can I ask what your intent?
Not,
what is your intent then?
Like the inspector has stated, I'll let him say. Okay. Well, he's here. I don't want to speak for him. Okay. We're only here on his behalf.
Yeah, okay. We recognize that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good.
So what is the intent?
I'm here today just to observe the service, just to observe the compliance with the orders.
And what's your name, sir?
My name is Dragan.
Dragan? Okay. My name's Rob.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And again,
no other intent.
Yeah. No, but again, with that intent, it will interrupt our worship service.
Okay, so you see what Rob, I guess now I've picked up his name, but and by the way, Dragon. Okay, help me with this. Who names their kid Dragon? Right?
Yeah, his name's the Dragon. So
yeah, I'm sure.
I'm thinking of the Great Red Dragon, right?
Yeah. Okay, so Rob ended up. Now, why don't you guys see what he did? He's working with what the officer's saying. Yeah. Hey, it's down to intent. It's what's intent.
Yeah.
What does he do? Okay, can you explain your intent? Well, my intent is to come in and observe your service. So now what can you do? Well, okay, you want to come in and observe the service, that will disturb the service. So what did he do? He's saying that, okay, this is now you officer, you wanted to talk about intent. We now have verified that his intent is to disturb the service.
I want to point out two things.
Now you can argue on the same. So what does he do? He didn't try to fight the guy, the officer. He just said, okay, let me have your understanding. Okay, let me work with that.
Let me point out two things before we go any further. I think it's very important to say, KT, I love you and respect you, but I want to disagree with this statement that you made here. Yet their consciences should uphold true justice rather than this abuse of power. Perhaps they should quit. These gentlemen are interacting with the law that they have. They're arguing, they're discussing, they're point, counterpoint. What's going on here is if these gentlemen who are willing to have a conversation quit, other officers that will not have a conversation with you are going to step up. Because when you get rid of good officers, bad officers always take their places. Trust me, it's definitely a given that it's going to happen that way. That's one point. But I also want to point out this. What are the pastors or elders, what are they actually doing? Have you guys caught it yet? What are they actually doing? They are stalling with the conversation as long as they can so that the other Christians can have a worship service for as long as possible. And that's the reason they didn't call for a watch commander, Chris. That's why they didn't say, "Oh, you get your supervisor out here," because when the higher ups, they come up.
You got to refer to so read what Chris said.
Okay, Chris, you asked the question. He says, "I know in my own street evangelism training to ask for a watch commander if there are any disputes of law with the officers on the scene," and that's true. But you want to be respectful and slow and keep things on a low keel and take your time. And I learned this when doing street evangelism as an overseer. We had about 20 or so with us in Richmond, Virginia, up at the racetrack.
Hold on. Just remember, we got to get through the rest of this.
Oh, okay. Give me 30 seconds. Yeah. So we had a bunch of officers were trying to stop everybody, and they kept saying, "You can't hand out these NASCAR trivia tracks." And I said, "Oh, we can't hand out any more of those." They said, no more of those at all. And I said, "Okay, we won't." Walked away and started handing out $1 million bills. So you just try to keep it on a low keel. You have the conversation, and then and let it play out without confrontation as best you can.
Yeah, and I've done this at church where sort of what you said. I remember a couple of times we'd have people that were cultic groups that come into our church. They want to try to pull people from our church to their group, and they visit churches like that. And I'd always, it's a waste of my time, but not really, because what I would do is I would just talk to them the entire time after service until everyone's gone.
Yes.
And there's no one for them to talk to. And I just keep correcting them, and I wouldn't let them go talk to anyone else. I'd see they'd want to they usually come in a group, and one of them would want to pay. I'd go, "No, wait, come here. I want to finish talking to you." I'd pull them back in. Why? What is that? That's protecting the flock.
Yeah. And that's their job.
Yeah. And so you're right. They are doing some of that. So let's continue on.
You don't have intent to interrupt your service, like we will.
I think there's nothing inside that you're going to see that you can't see clearly from out here with the amount of cars in the parking lot. So again, I would ask, why do you need to be in the building versus what you've seen with the amount of people that have come into our building from outside?
I would need to observe your compliance with 50% capacity.
I think you can count, just by counting the cars, you can tell we're not compliant. So that's why I'm saying you can't come in.
Compliance.
Now, I want you to notice that right there. And he's acknowledging. Justin Peters is playing the audio. So I have to get silences. So welcome, Justin, the other Justin. But I do want you to notice what he did there. It is maybe a subtle thing, but notice Rob did not deny that they're not in compliance. He's fully accepting that we're not in compliance. You can count the cars and no, we're not in compliance.
Yeah, and he's admitting, look, we know that you can do anything you want to do because you're the law.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying you guys can do anything you want to, and that's fine. Do whatever you're going to do. I keep going back to Peter, guys. Peter says we have God. This is what we're supposed to be doing. You judge what's right. And even when they got beat, what did they do? They praised God and they went ahead and did what God would do.
And that's what these guys are doing. They're not fighting what those in law enforcement are doing. They're acknowledging. I mean, and you're going to see him explain this a bit. And so let me play a little bit more. And Justin Peters, at any point you want me to stop, just say stop and all. Unless you want to add to right now.
Okay. No, I'll go ahead. Good to be with you.
Okay. So I'll hit play. We'll play more of this. Just say stop when you guys want it.
And again, I would say with witnessing people that are, that have stood outside and people over there you can witness without coming into the building, that same thing.
I would rather observe from your side rather than just assume.
Yeah.
What's going on.
Well, no, you're not assuming because you can see there's people not social distancing. And you can see the cars. And you can count the cars in the park.
There's no assumptions.
There's no assumptions there. And with your own testimony and they're witnessing that, you don't need to come inside the building.
Okay, so do you notice what he's doing there? He's trying to keep the officers from coming in and disrupting the worship service. So he's actually giving him ways of identifying the fact that they're not in compliance.
Yeah. I love what Gregory Owens said there. He said the best thing that you can do is to ask many questions. A good question would be to ask is, what will you do if we don't allow you into our service? So,
yeah. I think Justin Peter, do you have this show up on a different tab of your screen?
I did, and that I figured it out. Stopped it. So
okay. We're still getting an echo from you though.
Yeah,
Echo.
I think that's I think that.
Okay.
And there's
All
a
right.
little dog behind you.
That's not a dog.
Yeah, he is. There's me. Yeah.
That's Mia the rat. That's not a dog. All right. I think we're still getting an echo from you though, Justin, just so you know.
You are? I don't know why.
Yeah.
The Public Health Act, we have the right to enter at any reasonable time, any place of business.
Under the Health Act, you do, but not under the Criminal Code
Under the
176.
Public Health Act.
Yeah, which doesn't override.
So like I said,
Criminal Code 176.
just to be clear, we are standing on Criminal Code 176.
You're standing on the Health Act.
You're standing on the Health Act. So now we're at an impasse.
At the end of the day, again, there's got to be intent for what you're relying on 176.
But I think we've given you a reasonable option where you don't have to interrupt the service. You can still observe by being out here and counting the cars. So we've been reasonable. And so I think based on that,
See, we have a duty to report accurate information.
we can give
to the
you what our
courts.
actual head count is inside the building. It's 614 people because we count. That's what our occupancy is.
Okay, so you notice that they've already done it.
Yeah.
Right? They're providing the head count, and they're saying, oh, well, we need to they want to go in and count every individual. How are you going to count? Think about any church service, right? How are you going to count every individual? You got to go up and down those aisles. That's going to be disruptive. But you notice that they're even giving up the information to prove that they're guilty. Right? They're not denying that at all.
Yeah.
So Chris Honholz is saying, believe me, in no way supportive of what the officers are doing. I believe governing officials are abusing their authority by doing this. And he's right, but the officers still have to enforce it. Now, for the officers, this creates a dilemma. And the one gentleman, and you heard him laugh, right? That lightens up the conversation. You can't see, unfortunately with the masks, you can't see people's faces. You can't see a smile, and so you don't see that. It makes it more impersonal. But what did he do there? He said, well, look, we're resting on this law. You're resting on that law. We're at an impasse. And he laughed at that, and to lighten up the things. And so what you end up seeing is this is what ends up happening. He's trying to point out, look, this is the law we're resting on. This is the law and officers, what are you going to do? This is a dilemma for an officer, right? His job is to, and this is typically the thing. His job is really going to be to protect both parties and their rights.
Yeah.
And typically, just a police officer typically will default to protecting the person who called on them. Okay, in this case, it's Dragon who called them to protect them. When you're on the street evangelizing, the person who calls the police is usually the one who, that they're going to try to side with by default. So maybe we should call the police right away and say, hey, someone's heckling us, but that probably wouldn't be, but the thing is, this is the dilemma for the officers. But there's been plenty of times that I've been on the street and I've given the same type of dilemma to an officer. And what that does is it helps the officer to realize he has to make a decision now on the street. And I'll even usually say, officer, your job is to protect my rights as well as his rights. Correct? And what does that do? It puts the officer to say, like, hey, don't violate my rights either. Like we have to have now they're providing a way of count the cars. I mean, they're going to get into this more. So I'm going to play it just so we can see. They're going to explain how they can come up with a reasonable number to know they're over the 15%. They already gave them the exact number.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, they're going to mention in a bit, which will be funny, is they tell them that if these guys come in, they're over capacity, and that would be illegal. They're not allowed. So you guys can't come in because we're already at capacity. So that'll be funny, but let's listen.
at 15% capacity.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, inside the building right now is 614.
650.
Yeah, so that way you don't have to come in, and you can count, the cars if you'd like in the parking lot.
Go ahead and find us. Yeah.
Because 1 person per car, 10 people per car. You understand that?
10 people in a car is not going to fit.
No, we get that, but I mean, if the assumption is 1 per car, you can't.
We
Right.
can't assume. See, the courts don't work on assumptions; they work on
No, I know,
facts.
but one person has to be driving a vehicle per car, and there's more than 94 cars here.
Correct. I get that.
So that's why I'm trying to be reasonable about those.
Oh, yeah.
So what he's saying there is, if there's 94 cars, there's 94 cars, clearly there's more than 94 people in the building. And there's obviously not 10 people per car. I mean, you could look at some of those cars. You got a pickup truck. Why are you doing that?
Sorry. I had to put brother out. Well, I mean, he's jumping around, so I didn't want to have him on there.
So,
hey, brother.
he was trying to put you backstage.
I was trying to put you backstage. I actually did that.
He blew you up while you're
moving. I apologize for that.
You did what now?
He blew you up like this. He wanted to put you backstage so people didn't see you trying to sit down.
Yeah.
Instead, he blew it up so everyone saw you.
I just got up to shut the door to make it a little more quiet.
Oh, I thought that was so that the rat doesn't come in.
Yeah.
So, all right. But so there's 94 cars. There's at least 94 people. They're going to make this point. Like 94 cars didn't get here without a driver. 94 people put them over the 15% right off the bat. So they've given a way that they can know they're not in compliance. That's what the guy said he needs. He wants to know if they're under compliance. No, we're not. Yeah. Here's how you could tell. He gives the proof. He gave the proof two different ways. They already counted, gave the number. By their own testimony, they're not in compliance. Right? So let's hear.
Though it comes down to this, right? He has a job to do. We have a job to do. I know. We are bound by the courts to report accurate information. So I can't sit there and go, well, there's 300 cars out here, so there must be 300 people, because that is just a guess. It's not accurate.
So is it the health that has to observe or the RCMP?
It's the health that has to observe. I'm here for his protection.
Okay, so then we don't worry about you counting. It's your observations that matter, right?
Yes.
So now watch, they're going to give another solution now.
Being reasonable, you can observe everything you need to outside the building, and that way you don't interrupt our service and you still get your observations. And I think that's still factual because, like I said, any amount, if there's more than 93 vehicles in this parking lot, the vehicles will drive themselves. So therefore it's reasonable to assume that there's 93 people minimum.
Again, we can't assume. It has to be direct observation.
So then it's a fact that there's minimum 93 people here because there's 93 vehicles.
Again, they could all be somewhere else. We have to show the courts unequivocally that this is exactly what this investigator has observed based on his personal observations, and that's it.
Have you submitted any other affidavits in the court that talked about parking lot counts? Because I think some of Janine's earlier observations had parking lot counts in them, did she not?
Okay, so here's. You want to say something, Justin?
It's kind of amusing. I mean, I'm glad this was very cordial and low key, but it's kind of amusing. You said, well, talking about the 93 cars as well, they could be somewhere else. What do you drive to church, park your car, and then walk 7 miles down Dairy Queen? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't because the officer's gonna say that a couple times with that, but no. Now notice, Rob is prepared. Right? He knows that they already had in court affidavits used parking lot counting to prove that how many people that someone was not in compliance. So now he's using that to say, well, look, you've already done this in the past. You can't say you need to count every person because you've already counted in other affidavits the parking lots.
Yeah.
So because he was informed, and this is the thing. Don't try to lie and fool your way around with an officer just to make up data, but be informed before things happen. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess people come to church, they leave their cars at church and they disappear. We're gonna see that mentioned again.
That may be.
That may be.
But again, it doesn't come down to actual occupancy within the facility. And it doesn't matter if it's here or another place.
Yeah.
It makes no difference. I mean, there could be 1,000 cars here, but they could all be busted shuttled somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that would be a bad assumption to make.
No, I'm just trying to
Based on that.
And I think based on what you've seen and what you're seeing here,
Yeah, but like
You have to go inside.
You understand that I need to see that like myself. I can't believe.
so another reason.
Okay, I want you to notice right there. Do you hear the singing has now begun? Okay, so you know that the pastor's preaching has now has completed. They did what they've wanted to do, is to not disrupt the service. Now that you hear singing going on, and so now the guys can wrap it up.
Yeah.
This is for you to wait till the end of the service, and then you can watch the people coming out of the doors, because then you can tell that they haven't just materialized in the building. Coming from these vehicles into the building. Watch.
That was great.
They materialize in the building.
Yeah,
It's a Benny Hinn service.
you could count them coming out and know that they didn't just materialize in the building. Because what is that? That's using humor with what the other officer said, that, well, they could have left the car here, but they were bused somewhere else. He's like, you could see they're getting out of the building and going into their car. So Melissa says maybe they were all raptured. Maybe this is reverse rapture. They were raptured into the building.
I mean, elders are trying to spell it out for them. Like I mean, what do they need to write it and finger paint it? Okay, we're over the limit. Okay, we are over the 15% limit.
Yeah. Still getting some echo from you, Justin. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Everything's. I'm sorry. Do you need me to? I cut out because I know it's annoying. You want me to?
No. Even hearing you twice is still worth it. We love you that much.
I'll tell you what, just wave. I'll mute you and just wave. And if you have anything to say, we'll put you back on. Is that okay?
Okay. So, but now notice one of the things I want you to notice with it though, too, is the use of humor. Okay. You're seeing Rob and the other gentleman.
Yeah.
They're not getting all defensive. They're not getting where they're yelling at them. They are having conversation. They're lighthearted. They're keeping it lighthearted. You're seeing now, I want you to notice, and this is something to do with if you're on the street evangelizing, notice things going on around you. I want you to notice right now the officer that was doing most of the talking, the one that has the mask that makes him look like a duck. I'm sorry, it's just how I see it. But he's lost interest now.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, he has been the one defending the health worker the whole time. He's been speaking for him. And, he's saying, well, we have to get in and count. Right. Well, the health guy has to do that. But now what has just changed in this conversation? Rob is talking directly with Dragon, the health guy, health inspector. Now the officer has lost interest. This is key because their handling of this, that officer now wants to go do something else.
Yep.
By
the way,
Chris is saying, well, Andrew, you're not wrong. And Chris probably is speaking from experience, but I want you to notice this because this notice the behavior, the body language of the officers and who you're speaking to. In this case, what you end up seeing is the body language of the officer now is like, I want to go catch bad guys. Okay. Look, it's really simple. Here's a simple thing to understand with police officers. There's two things that they want to do. And Justin, you can tell me if
you dare say donuts.
Well, you obviously had plenty of that when you were an officer, but I was going to say there's two things an officer wants to do. One, they want to get home to their family.
Yep.
Okay. The second thing is they want to catch bad guys.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, when you're on the street doing evangelism, you just represent paperwork, and police don't like paperwork. Okay.
Yeah.
You represent paperwork. They don't want to deal with you. They just want you to go away. And see what these guys are doing is not going away. They're standing firm on the law, but they're being respectful. And now the officer has lost interest. And that's key. Okay. Anyone else have anything to say before we hit play?
Well, I want to have just real quick. Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. All right. How's the echo?
It sounds good. Good.
It sounds good. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. Good.
This is quite the stark contrast between how the elders at Great Life handled this situation and how that other pastor, can't remember his name, but was yelling and like police officers, Nazis. I mean, this is a stark contrast. The elders at Great Life handled this wisely, biblically. It reflects well on Christ. So kudos to me. Tip of the hat. They well. I think they did very, very well in this.
Full Belly Bear says Justin Peters only preaches on mountaintops. That's why there's echo.
I'm impressed. God.
No, in case you don't know, Justin, who Full Belly Bear is, you went to see Jonathan Edwards with him, so that'll help you.
Jonathan Edwards. Okay.
So you remember
Jonathan Edwards' tomb?
Well, yeah, his tomb, but
yeah.
Yeah,
I got an anointing off of the tomb.
I was going to say, if he came back out of the ground and started preaching to you guys, I missed it. I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, I did some grave soaking on Jonathan Edwards.
There you go.
Well, you admitted it. I know that I'm not allowed to show pictures, but I got the photo evidence.
Now, what's going to happen is Christy's going to find us, and he's going to splice out that like 3 seconds and accuse me of grave soaking.
There you go.
All right. Let me hit play. We got about 7 more minutes of this.
Well, you will see them not masking because they're going to be coming out, most likely without masks.
Physical distancing inside.
Yeah, well, you can see them not physical distancing as they come out of the building. Yeah. So everything you need to witness.
We're not in compliance.
Masking, physical distancing, and count you can do from outside the building. We'll even move a vehicle if you want to sit and watch.
Now notice,
give you a spot where you can watch.
Again,
notice how compliant they're. I mean, they're saying, look, we're not in compliance. We're over capacity. You could count the cars are over capacity. You could count the people coming out. They're even saying, we'll move a car so you could sit right in front of the door so you can count everyone coming out. I mean,
we'll make you some popcorn. sit there and say, come.
I mean, how helpful can they be to say, hey, we're helping you know that we're not in compliance, right?
You know, the thing is the gentleman in front of us with the mask there, the duck mask thing. I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but he's a supervisor. Okay, he's at least a corporal, if not a little bit higher. He's got the bars on his shoulders, and he's been the main guy talking. But you're right, he doesn't want to be there. Guys, he wants to be out of this situation, and it just shows the fact that, and there are a lot of officers that are there trying to do the right thing, and they're trying to uphold the law and do what's right within the context of what they're told to do, and they're willing to talk to you, and as long as you're respectful and you're kind, and you're not, some jerk like Justin, you were just talking about the other guy screaming and yelling. I cannot believe that went the way it went. Most of the time, those officers are not going to put up with that.
I thought they were going to just arrest him.
I did too. I thought they would arrest him, but these gentlemen were prepared to be godly. They were, long suffering, and they recognized that the purpose was for them to be Christian brothers, willing to be, engaged in righteous conversation.
And the reason that the officer now is disengaged is because Rob is talking directly to the health worker, Dragon. And that's the thing, is that, the police are there saying, hey, we're just here for him, for his protection, right? So, okay, then let's talk directly to him. And that's what they're doing. Here, hey, Justin, I'll put this up here for you. Someone you may know says, hi, guys. Nora says hello.
Nora Dungan.
Yeah, so someone you know. But all right, let's play.
That's not practical. It's
that's very practical.
No,
that's you not going in the building and interrupting our worship service, which isn't practical. And again, against 176. We can sit you at a table. We can
let you sit there and watch and
We'll
count.
bring you a coffee.
Yeah.
We'll bring you a coffee.
I think there's room with the fire capacity for you guys.
Well, yeah, we're not there to occupy the building. We're here to inspect and leave. That's it.
Right? You see that? You can't come in because it's over capacity there.
But did you hear that response? We're not here to occupy the building, but to come in and count and leave.
But you would be occupying if you come in.
Next time you go to a store and they say, "Oh, we're at capacity," I'm not actually occupying. I'm just going to come in here and count the whatever and leave.
I'm just coming in to buy something and leave.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna do.
They're already over capacity, so he's just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
That's a very reasonable option that I would extend you. That way, you're meeting what you need to do. You're not interrupting our worship service, which allows us to do what we need to do. And I would extend that to you as an offer to please consider that and to use that. Because that's being reasonable.
You should consider that I will not be interrupting your service.
You will be. You will be. You will be.
Once again, there's no intent.
You will be walking through aisles.
Yeah.
You will be.
The moment you walk in the door, people will be looking at you.
So
You're not going to count over occupancy if you just stand in the front door. So you're either going to not get everything you need, or you're going to be walking down aisles and interrupting people.
well, there's no intent to walk down aisles.
But you will, if you want to gather what he's saying he needs, you will have to.
Because you have to go up to our balcony, which takes you by aisles and takes you by people.
So, Scott, so at the end of the day, the public health act says.
Okay, so now I want you to notice what just happened. Okay, I'm just going to mute Justin. Just raise your hand, Justin, when you want to talk. Notice the other officer has just come in. I've actually been in the exact boat that Robert is in right now, where you were talking to a supervisor who maybe it's the first time. In my case, we're at Princeton University dealing with the captain. Captain came out, was giving a friend of ours, Mike Stockwell, told one of the officers, give him a ticket. The officer, and he didn't even know what he got a ticket for. But the officer goes to do that. But I'm talking with the person in charge, and it was a similar type conversation as we're seeing here. Just a lot of back and forth, respectful, but it gets to an impasse. And then I had a case like this where another officer comes in, and he's like, "Look, I've known this person. I've dealt with him in the past, and he's reasonable." And you end up seeing that it's like, okay, let's start to work on this and bring a conclusion. This officer is going to look to do that. Now you're going to see that the officer in charge is going to allow this officer to bring it to a conclusion. Why? Because Robert has given plenty of, and he said it over and over, we're trying to be reasonable. We're trying to work with you. We've given lots of different ways for you to get your job done. We get our job done, right? That's what the officers they're trying to just work out a good solution so that there's no paperwork, there's no nonsense. That's what they want. This officer is now going to come in and provide the solution that's needed.
Access to go in the building. Okay? If you don't want us to go in the building, that's fine, but you're accepting the fact you're denying us access to the building. Okay? So if you deny access to the building, there's potential for criminal charges or potential for additional charges.
Yeah.
So that being said, we're going to respect the fact that you guys don't want us to go to the church. We're not going to go into the church. Okay. We're going to stay outside and we'll observe the business.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So then there's no further interaction.
Yeah.
Thank you. Are you satisfied with that?
Very much so, yeah. If you can observe from outside, that would be.
And sorry, can you say that one more time? So just so I'm clear, we're subject to
denying us access under the Public Health Act, there's potential charges that can come, additional charges that can come that under under the Public Health Act and Public Health Orders or whatever. Yeah. Okay. That'll be for them to sort out because that's an AHS sort of thing. That's not an RCMP thing. Okay. So we're here in support of him. Yeah. If you don't want us to go in there because you're basing it on disrupting a church service, sorry.
No, that's okay. No, we get
it. You see how tight this is? Yeah. So that's fine. I want to respect boundaries. Yeah. Right. So and I don't.
Okay, so the officer doesn't like wearing the mask either, all right? Just for the record, this is why masks are good. Stop wearing the masks, all right? I was just in Texas. Boy, I loved it. I mean, I walked around everywhere as normal and didn't have to wear the mask. Justin.
I just got a quick comment about the mask. I watched a doctor on a video and a great illustration of the efficacy or lack thereof of masks. Do masks stop some particular particles in the air? He said, yeah, sure they do. But when it comes to a virus, he said, a mask, a virus, He said, "Give it this way. It's like taking a full of sand and throwing it through a chain link fence.
Yep.
Will a couple particles bounce off? Yeah, a few, but 99.99% are going straight, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
That's right.
All right, let's hit play. And so now we're going to get this on where I'm just going to end up pointing Son out and then letting it play in a few minutes, but I'm going to let him talk about what they're doing now is just, let's get clarification on this stuff. What's going to happen next? And the officer is saying, hey, it's for, health department to decide. I guess health department decided they needed to fence in the building. That's what they decided after this.
Yeah. I want to get into a debate.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and we've been working.
We've dealt with you guys. Yeah, that's right. We're more than amicable.
Now you see the respect. We've been working together.
Yeah. It's always been typically consistently me that comes here. It's already started. We'll respect that. Okay. So we'll do an observation from outside of the process.
Notice because they were respectful before, that respect was already built. This officer has already dealt with them, and he understands that. Hey, we've dealt with this before. We understand. You've been respectful. That is important. When you do that, I've done that at Princeton University where I've gone back multiple times and we've get the police called on us, and I've dealt with the same officers multiple times. And because of that, we don't have problems. I've done it at Seaside Heights, New Jersey, where we used to evangelize regularly. Same officers week in and week out. You get to know them. You respectfully speak to them. They are respectful back. That's why you see this officer stepping in right now. This officer is stepping in because of the respect that had been built by being respectful previously and not being a jerk and going, I have my rights. Give me my rights. Get out of here. What did they say? Gestapo. It was with the
Well, think about 1 Peter. I posted on there. Christ didn't try to push his rights as king, right? What did he do? He was quiet. He didn't revile. He could have sent down legions of angels, and he didn't do any of those things. He took what was not his, what didn't belong to him, and that was the punishment and the wrath and the hate and all that. And by the way, 1 Peter 2:21 tells us this is our example.
Yeah.
Thank you. The church?
Yes.
If the guys come back next Sunday, we'll make sure that if that's the case, that they come in prior to service starting. Then there's no disruption. But they're going to seek clarification on the criminal code. Because when you look at the criminal code, there's actually case study, case law. It's not just this is a chargeable offense. Any person that does this will. There's a whole bunch of synopsis and a whole bunch of other things that have definitions on reasons why. Yeah. We just have to be very clear that we're not infringing on something, and you're not just taking that text as verbatim, right? Yeah. Like there are rules that can go in exceptions or caveats. We'll make sure that that's explored fully. Yes. So we don't put ourselves in a debating position.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess I would also
not like running a stop sign. You got to stop.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I guess I would also make clear just for your information.
Okay. So now here's I'm going to end up just hitting play on this and letting it go. But I want you to notice now. And Pauline is saying, why is the serpent gentle as doves? That's right, Pauline.
Amen.
Yeah. What we're seeing now, what we're going to see now is this is the emphasis. Now this is going to be where the three of us here today, would disagree with Dr. Silvestro. And he'll come back and he'll bring some other people to disagree with us.
Yeah.
But we have the floor, and he's in Florida suffering in that weather there. But since he doesn't have internet, he can't come on. And so, oh well for him. But I'm going to mute Justin. I'm telling you, I'm muting you just so you know to wave to. But here's the thing I want you to see. I want to play this. I'm not going to stop it at this point. This is the difference. Why have they been respectful? Why have they've admitted they're not in compliance, whatever consequences are the consequences, and they do it for this purpose that we hear now.
For next week if we end up in this situation again.
We'll be in this standpoint again.
I was here at 7:00 this morning. We opened the doors at 7.
Okay.
Worship starts at 7 when we're here.
Right.
But that's the issue we have is that there's prayer, there's singing, there's the moment people show up,
the service has started.
I know the dynamic has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I know, I understand. Because it went from applause to now we're being told to So I understand where the dynamic has changed because of the situation.
Yes.
I respect it.
And I want to be very clear too, like when we say no welcome, it's the interruption of AHS interrupting our service. That's not welcome.
I understand that.
That's I want to be clear on that.
I do. That's not how I meant to interpret it. I understand what you're saying.
I know, yeah.
This is not a personal thing.
So our biggest thing is that, our church, a worship gathering consists of singing, prayer, preaching of the word, hearing about Jesus Christ and the death and his death for sins, for those that need to be saved. Yeah, and fellowship, sacraments, and those things. Those are all part of our worship service. And the moment people enter this building, that service is started. And so that's why it's
what we need to try to decipher is where's the clear line in the sand on what is and what isn't interruptions. Right? Yeah. And that's what we're going to do because I don't want to come here and give you misinformation or come here and debate because that's not what we're going to.
No, and we don't want to debate either.
I'd like to fully understand that intent.
Yeah, because there are intent.
Very simple.
Yeah, there are. It is, and that's where the courts come into play.
Yeah,
right. The courts determine what is and what isn't. Yeah. So we just act in good faith on what our instructions are and what the authorities are.
Yeah, and if you guys can observe from outside, that's for us the best practice because that to us seems the most reasonable because then, like I said, you can eyewitness people coming in, and everything that you were going to witness in there, you can witness from outside. And I think moving forward, that's what I would extend is the best practice for both of us to.
So I just spoke to our sergeant major, so that's who I will take this information.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
AHS come up with a plan.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay.
That works out?
Yeah.
You guys are satisfied with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't want to.
No,
we're just.
Yeah. Thanks.
We're not trying.
No, I know we've had many.
I know.
Did you hear that?
Conversations outside of this. So,
yeah.
No, I understand that.
What'd you say, Justin?
I said, did you just hear that? He said, I don't want to be here. I am just trying to do this job, whatnot. And he just made it clear that he didn't want to be there. He was trying to uphold what was right.
Yep.
He went and called his sergeant major, and the sergeant major said, back out of it. That's what he made it clear.
Yeah. And you've seen in some of the comments we've been putting up, Chris Honhold saying, nice sliding of the gospel.
Amen.
Pauline saying he presented the gospel. Well done. That was their focus, to make sure the gospel was presented. That's what they wanted. And, that's the thing of each encounter they're doing. And you're seeing that the officer, he's probably heard it before. There's a couple minutes before, or a minute. Let me just finish it out. But you're seeing how the officer is being respectful to him. And this officer, and this is one of the things you're going to do. You have a couple different officers that you're dealing with. You find out which one's the reasonable one, and that's the one you start talking with. Okay, and that's the one that's going to work with you. The other guy, the one that looks like a duck, wasn't willing to work at all. He's just there to support whatever the health guy wants. The other officer is trying to bring a resolution. Okay, the other guy doesn't want to be there either, but neither one of these officers want to be there. But they're trying to figure a way out of it. Okay. So let me finish playing this out, and then I think John has a clip for us.
And that's fine. Like I said, I don't want to put us in a bad spot, and I don't want to put you guys in a bad spot, and I don't want to stand in debate.
Yeah, no, understood.
It's not healthy for anybody.
I know.
And this is how stuff gets taken out of context and misinformation.
Exactly.
Right? Just deplorable debates.
All right.
So,
okay.
If you have any issues with them coming onto your property or anything like that, don't hesitate to call us. Okay?
No, 100%.
If you're wondering why security's here, it's because
it's for the media.
Yeah, it's for the media.
It is for that other.
You guys, I hope no.
He doesn't represent.
No. I think that's why they brought it.
So they had an incident. Excuse me. They had an incident with somebody. The media had an incident. So they have security for them supposedly, and they're saying, "Hey, that person wasn't associated with us." Okay. Chris Honhold is saying, "Oh, you put it up there. Why don't you read it there?"
Chris said that is what I want people to understand. Not every one of these officers wants to be these Nazi jackboots. Many of them don't even want to do this, but they are being made to. Mm-hmm. Should they fight? Probably, but we need to show grace.
That's right. So I'll just let this end out, and then there's not much left of it. But
with them attacking the media.
Yeah, I know that was awful.
On
And posting it on YouTube.
Yeah. So that's why they're just not here for anything.
Yeah, and it's not good.
Nobody was wondering here.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I again appreciate the willingness to listen and
Yeah, sure. It's all about compromise, right? Yeah, stick on it.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, so you see how they're given welcomes, they're being accepted. They came to a good, peaceful solution. The gospel was able to be presented. Chris Honholm says
Even a fist bump.
I finally got to be home for one of these programs. So, good. We're talking about police when he's able to watch.
And it's a really good outcome too.
Yeah, it was a good outcome. And now here's the thing you're going to notice at this point, and it's interesting because like the other guy was saying, look, you could see we're not social distancing. You could see the guy right here on the screen. He doesn't have a mask on. Like they could see they're not in compliance, but service now ends. That's the thing. This is the thing. Like you're now going to hear people coming out. The music stopped. You're going to hear the talking stop, and now people start coming out. And now they can start counting. That's what they really want to do. I'll hit play.
See you guys later.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
So there you go. Let me
pull John in.
All right, you pull John in.
Hey, brother.
I'm just gonna mute Justin. Justin, just wave when you want to talk, so that we can. No, not you, Justin. You have the controls. So you, John, you had something you wanted me to play that was 40 some seconds. So I'll pull that up now.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the background, I guess, is this one journalist or a bunch of journalists were asking the government as far as questions about COVID and what the restrictions are and all that. And so you can play the little 47-second clip about reporting others.
Just for the record, none of us have heard this before, but Cluck Commander. So
I'm wondering about these new police powers to just randomly stop someone walking down the street or to pull over a car. What happens if a person refuses to answer the police questions?
So by issuing these new additional enforcement measures, it allows police officers to ask the person why they are not at their place of residence and what their place of residence is. And specifically to your question, if you are not willing to comply, then you are breaking the law.
I want your papers.
Yeah.
I want your papers.
Well, no, that would be racist to ask for papers.
Oh man.
At least for voting, right? Isn't that what we learned?
I just watched 1984 this morning. Some of it.
Okay, so I don't know what's worse. Justin, you're going to have to try this on your next flight. I was all ready to get on my flight to Texas. I'm waiting for them to ask me for my ID so that I can let them know. Well, this is Delta that I was flying, so I was waiting for them to ask me for my ID, and I was ready to say, I'm sorry, but your company has said that in Georgia it is racist to ask for ID for voting. You don't want to support racism, do you? I don't want to give my ID. I don't know what's scarier, the fact that I didn't get to say that or the fact that they never asked me for ID. But yes, I got on the flight without showing any ID. No, on my way back, I did get asked for my ID to get on the way back. Justin's got this puzzled look. Yeah, I know. They didn't ask for ID.
No, wait. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
You came in from outside into the airport and got on a plane without ever showing up.
Yeah. I was already. I don't know how. They didn't ask. So I was waiting to use this line, and I checked my bags. They even printed me my ticket. I didn't have to show ID. Wow. I gave my name, and that was actually no. That time I had the printed ticket on the way out. On the way back, they printed the ticket. But on the way back home, they asked me for ID, and I said, well, you do know your company says it's racist to ask for ID, don't you? And this was a black girl that was at the counter named Aisha. So I knew she was, or at least was raised Muslim. And so it was quite interesting. She just looked at me like, what? Okay, so you have another one for us to play now here, John?
Yeah, the one that you're going to play now is one I wanted you to listen to, but I gave it the wrong link. But that's fine. Going to this one.
How long is this one?
About the same length.
Okay.
Someone sees their neighbors breaking these new regulations and having a party in their yard, that sort of thing. Should people call police on their neighbors?
In terms of people calling to snitch, to inform, look, we all have a personal responsibility. If it means saving lives, then I think we have to think about what your social responsibilities are as an individual to make sure that you don't empower other people and invite a whole bunch of individuals to your home.
Doesn't that sound better? We're saving lives rather than we're killing Jews.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it just sounds better.
Or, you don't want to empower others. Wow.
It's the Newspeak that we have new words and Newspeak and
1984 in reality.
Yeah.
Everyone should go out and read the book 1984. If you read it years ago, reread it. I read it a couple years ago. Again, you got it right there. Oh, Animal Farm, you got there.
Animal Farm, you got to read that one too.
Yeah, I mean, it literally is coming true. I mean, the one thing of 1984 I thought made no sense to me was the whole idea of newspeak, that people could change terms. All the media would just, okay, we're now using it, now redefining it this way, and everyone would comply. I was like, how could that possibly work? And then I watched it talk about the fact that, you have to use proper pronouns for people. Yeah. And if someone says they're a guy, they're a guy. And if they say they're a girl, they're a girl. And if they say that they're in transition, they get to decide what they are at that moment. Crazy. There's a Christian university, University of the Ozarks, I think it is called, something like that, that is suing the Biden administration because this new policy that I don't know if you guys heard about this, a new policy that requires, because of this whole gender stuff, that the university is not allowed to segregate the dorms by male and female. They must be allowed to put men in female dorms.
And Humble Clay says, we have to hold fast, but none of this should surprise us. If you have a proper eschatology, this shouldn't surprise you at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to think that people could be so, like you think about, it's at universities that you have the largest number of rape cases. And now you're going to put guys in the girl dorms, giving them access where they have to share showers. Okay. If people haven't been in most colleges, you have dormitories where you have a floor or a suite where everybody shares the showers. Okay. And now you're going to give a guy access to that, all because of this, trying to push this whole gender stuff. It's insane. By the way, in California, what was the number? I think the number's up to 500 male inmates that suddenly decided that they're females and they're being transferred to a female prison.
What? Say that again. Hold on, you got to say that again.
There are inmates in California, they're male inmates that now with the new rules have decided that they are women and they're being transferred to female prisons.
Well, I would too. I mean, if I'm going to prison.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're in prison for life.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. Of course, I want my wife over in the other prison too, so I could go meet her.
Well, soon we will be, but I don't know that they're going to be giving us Bibles and allowing us to be in cells with our wives. But I think that's coming.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Justin Peters, anything else you want to add?
No, I don't suppose so. I tell you, I must from to finish, and not that it's finished because it's not, but I have been utterly impressed with James Coates, with his wife Erin Coates, the entire church, the elders, how they have conducted themselves, their stand truth, speaking the truth in love, obey God rather than man. I mean, I tell you, I'm very, very, very impressed with them.
Yeah, I think they've handled this well, even if Dr. Silvestre thinks they haven't. But hey, we respect his right to be wrong. Okay. So
yeah, it's okay. I mean, we love him. I mean, he's a great brother. He just happens to be wrong. It's okay.
Yeah.
We know all kinds of people that are wrong on all kinds of stuff, and we try to teach them the truth and show them the right way, and eventually they'll come around.
I mean, we say, Justin, we would agree that Jim Osmond is wrong on his view of whether Matthias was an apostle, right?
Yeah. Jim's wrong about that, but that's okay. Yeah. It's I still the best preacher I've ever heard.
Yep.
And until it's to after one and the apostles was actually I've never preached through that but yeah that's the thing that's one thing he's wrong about.
Yeah.
So 100 and not just 100% but 110% certain that I'm so.
Well, we're hoping, for folks who don't know, we had Jim Osmond on last week. We talked about the resurrection of Jesus Christ and a very interesting view that Jim brought out about premillennialism and why the resurrection would point to premillennialism. And that was very interesting. If you haven't gone back, go back and listen to that. And then what I encourage you to do is go to Matter of Theology, the Matter of Theology podcast. Drew from Matter of Theology did a response to Jim and gave a basically his view as a post-millennialist. And we're hoping to get the both of them on to have a discussion. It'll be one of the discussions that we'll have after that. I think we're going to have a discussion with Jim Osmond and Justin Peters talking about Matthias not being the 12th apostle. And, I mean, look, if Jim wants to believe that on earth, that's fine. He'll be set straight in heaven. It's okay. It's just like Drew. If he wants to believe that everything's going to turn out for good, if he wants to ignore the news and the reality, I mean, we accept that. We'll show grace.
Yeah.
And when he gets to heaven, they'll both get to realize that we were right all along.
And while he's saying peace, peace, and there is no peace, and
yeah.
I can tell you another person in the New Testament who was not an apostle.
Go ahead.
Junia. Romans 16, verse 7.
Who?
Junia.
Junia.
Junia. Romans 16, verse 7.
Romans 16, verse 7 states, Greek, Achadonis and Junius, my kinsman and my fellow prisoner, who are outstanding among the apostles, who were also in Christ before me. So people say that these guys were apostles?
Yeah, well, they argue that, or Junius is a female apostle. That's a female name, and it says in Romans 16:7 that she is outstanding among the apostles. There you've got a female apostle, therefore complementarianism is wrong, egalitarianism is right. In fact, there's a whole thing called the Junia Project. Christian, scare quotes, feminist kind of thing, and their whole thing is that Junia was a woman and she was an apostle, therefore egalitarianism is right. But she was an apostle. She was outstanding. In other words, the apostles noted her faithfulness, noted her fidelity and service to Christ and to the church. And so she was noted among them.
Not as one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even, we don't know for 100% that this person was actually a woman. The name, it depends on where you put accent mark. It could either be a male or a female name. So I mean, I'll jump ball even in itself. It may not have been a woman in the first place. But.
All right, Justin, you did your air quotes. You were trying to do this. We're going to have to point out, in a previous video that we did, you were trying to point to the camera, and here you're doing it with your air quote. And we have to point out, because some people, I know the comments we're going to get, Justin. We've gotten them before from you. Remember the guy that claimed when you went like this, you were giving the what was it? The satanic
Man.
Satanic symbol, that you were proving you were a Satanist because you're. No, I'm not kidding, Justin Pierce. We're not kidding. This actually happened. A guy tried to say that Justin was doing a satanic symbol because his fingers were together the way they were, and I commented and said, "You don't think it has to do with the fact that he's got cerebral palsy?" And the guy was like, "No." So then Justin, we should go back and get that. That was classic. Justin Peters. You've got me. You've outed me. I've been trying to fool people for all this time. It's not the 27 surgeries I've had for cerebral palsy. Like, he goes out to all this stuff of why his hands don't work the way that they should. And then he goes, or it could just be I have cerebral palsy. It was a great comment.
I wish I still had that. I don't even remember where I don't even think I could find it if my life helped. I'd have to myself on one.
It was very funny. So he wasn't doing some satanic thing. So let me do this as we close out. I'll do our last sponsor here is Logos Bible Software. They are running some specials right now. If you want to upgrade your Bible software, if you want to get Logos 9, or maybe you want to get Reformed, the Reformed package, Reformed Diamond or Gold, or one of those, you can go to bit.ly/SFE Logos. And from there, you can upgrade your Logos, and you would be able to do that. That helps support Striving for Eternity as well. If you're a first-time user or first-time upgrading using our site, Striving for Eternity provides you with 5 free books in Logos. You get a whole choice of different books to choose from. They're all there. Just go to bit.ly/SFE Logos, all lowercase, and you would be able to get yourself some free books at Logos. And not only that, you get to use an outstanding Bible software. Chris Honholds, however, is quite upset. It looks like he said, "What? No My Pillow advert break?" No, Chris, you came in late. We already talked about that. Yeah. And Chris, what we did talk about is that if you do get a My Pillow using our promo code SFE, send us a picture. You can do it the same way you can contact us. Just contact us at info@strivingforeternity.org. That's info@strivingforeternity.org. That's how you get a hold of us. Send your pictures there and we'll put them up here. And then lastly, I'll just mention that we could certainly use your support. I've mentioned this before. I'll probably end up having to mention this again. COVID has not been good to us, to ministries as overall, but has been really hard on Striving for Eternity. The way we usually get donations is by going into churches and speaking. We have not been able to do that last year due to COVID. Our donations decreased by 60% last year. That's a big number. So that's going to limit what we could do this year. We try to go in. Most of the events we do, we go into churches where we lose money. We do not get paid for some of the churches, many of the churches actually that we go to. And so that is by our monthly donors that allow us to do that. We're not going to be able to do that for many churches this year. That's going to limit what we're able to do to help out some of those churches that can't afford seminars. And so because of that, we're limited. We're asking you to come alongside. If you find value in what we're doing here, you find value in the stuff that we're producing for free, you don't pay for this. Now you could go to YouTube and subscribe there. There's a way to subscribe and be a monthly subscriber there. There's our Patreon. There's a lot of different ways, but we encourage you to do is go to strivingforeternity.org/support. That's strivingforeternity.org/support. And if you could help us, if you can come alongside, partner with us, any amount would help us. But we're trying to make up a 60% downfall from last year. And so if you could help us with that, that would help us to be able to help out other churches. It would help us to be able to continue producing good content, to be able to provide to you guys. So if you get value out of this, please help come alongside of us. We could use the help. And so I don't know what we have, Justin Pierce. I don't know what we have planned for next week. Do you?
Next week, we're going to have open Q&A. Anybody wants to ask questions, just ask questions away.
Maybe by then we should talk to Jim and Drew. Maybe we'll have them on and we could do that. I will, just for programming notes so you guys know, we have next week, we'll be here. The week after that, on the 6th, it may be Justin Pierce holding down the fort. Dr. Silvestro and I are headed to Florida along with Justin Peters. We will be in Beulah Baptist Church in Winter Garden, Florida. If you'd like to come hear us do our Snatch Them from the Flames seminar, a discernment seminar, teaching a whole lot of things on discernment in the Bible, false teachers, social justice, all of that stuff. And you're anywhere in the Orlando, Florida area, you look up Beulah Baptist Church, come there. We're headed down there Thursday. We'll be there speaking a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All right. Dr. Silvestro and I are going to be sticking around in Florida until the rest of that week. So 13th, we'll still be down there. So I don't know that Dr. Silvestro and I are going to be here on the 6th and the 13th. Justin may have to plan something without us, or we're going to be all on it. We have to check what kind of wireless connection we have down there. I know that Anthony couldn't come on tonight because he's down in Florida right now and didn't have a good wireless connection. So therefore, I would normally say no Anthony time, but we're already in Anthony time, 10 minutes over.
10 minutes in.
Yeah, so 10 minutes into Anthony time without him here. So, oh well. He'll be happy.
I think I'm going to be gone a couple of weeks next month as well. Probably going to be going to the conference with you guys if we can swing it. I really want to come and listen to you guys. And you guys, they're just a blessing to me. Justin, I love you, brother. And if I can come down there, bring my kids and whatnot, we would just love to be there with y'all. So.
Okay, so someone is saying now Justin could be an Anthony time advocate, but the question is which Justin? That becomes the question. So, all right, I think that's a wrap for tonight. We thank all of you guys for tuning in, sharing this. If you guys get, it helps if you guys share this with friends. That way they know about it. This will turn into a podcast soon. Later tonight, I'll post this right away as a podcast so you can listen to it at the Christian Podcast Community, where we have all the other podcasts out there. So check that out as well. Until next week, remember to strive to make today an eternal